Welcome to our program, Coach-to-Coach. Today's guest is Karyn Whitaker. Karyn helps people who identify as neurodivergent to work with their unique brains. She teaches strategies to move from overwhelm to action without going via burnout, because trying harder is BS. Thanks for joining us today, Karyn. I've been looking forward to connecting with you today.
Thank you for the invitation. I appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. So the way I like to start these off is to ask what first sparked your interest in coaching?
Um, I kind of drifted into it a little bit by accident.
Mm,
In my professional career, at one point, about 20 years ago, I was being made redundant
mm,
and was offered the opportunity to get some paid for training, and a coaching certification was available. So I went to college and got my former employer to pay for me to do a coaching certification. And as I did that, I realized how much as a manager I was coaching the whole time.
mm,
But certainly having the level 5 qualification improved my coaching. And then over the last 20 years, I've used that a lot as a manager. I've also coached young athletes, most of whom turn out to be neurodivergent,
mm.
um, with very good results. And I'm waiting to leave my corporate job at the moment. And going into full time coaching sounded a lot more fun than working, pushing electrons around all day.
Absolutely. I love what you said about realizing that you've actually been coaching all along.
Yeah,
That was the same realization I had, years of managing and leading teams in the corporate world. Um, and the word coaching never really even occurred to me as a way to describe it, but that's exactly what I was doing as well. So,
yeah, it's my entire management style.
mm,
But now I'm going to offer it more formally.
yeah,
Yeah.
great, great. So I'm curious, what is that going to look like for you? Like, what's your coaching practice look like? Going to look like? What's it look like right now?
Right
Um,
now, it looks like, as I say, I work with young athletes.
mm,
That's never going to make me rich, but it is amazing to see the progress and results that they make. And I also, my new commercial offer, which I have a couple of people signed up for now, is to do strengths-based coaching.
mm.
So Gallup have a strengths assessment. I don't know if you came across it in your corporate
No.
life. It's got 34 things that people might be good at. It ranges from being good at generating ideas to being a person who's good at harmony, getting everybody to work together well in a team.
Mm,
People who are good at making connections, people who are good at being the strategist. And when you do that assessment, your report comes back with 5 or 10 strengths that you're good at.
mm,
Now, if you're neurodivergent, you have spent a lot of time in your life being told what you're bad at and what you
mm,
need to do better. Very little time being told this is what you're good at and this is what you do well. And I've done this strengths assessment a couple of times in my corporate career. And being neurodivergent, I scan through the report, go, yeah, that sounds about right, and put it aside.
mm,
So I've structured a coaching offer around that instead. So we will spend one session looking at each of the person's 5 strengths.
mm,
So you get a full hour to explore one of your strengths and how you can use that.
mm.
And then the next session, you get another hour to explore the next one of your strengths. And that is quite life changing, sounds really big, but it really is quite a different way of looking at life for a neurodivergent person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because instead of going, I have all these deficits, we spend 5 or 10 hours over a number of weeks going, this is what you're really good at.
Mm,
Um, and I use some calculations. So if you imagine that your innate skill at something is on a scale of 1 to 10,
mm,
and if you pick something that you're a 2 at and you put 10 units of effort in,
mm,
you'll still only get to 20 and you'll be working your backside off.
mm,
But if you pick something that you're a 9 at and you put 3 units of effort in, we've got 27 units of results
mm,
for a third of the effort that we were putting in previously.
yeah, yeah,
So it really does give people a very different way of being in the world.
yeah. I love that. And being a bit of an analytics nerd myself, it's kind of, the math would probably say a unit at a unit applied to a two is actually a partial unit. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's probably a 0.8 or a 0.7 factor, whereas at the thing you're a nine at, 3 units of time is probably, 1.5 or two times, like,
Mm,
kind of. So there's an exponential component to that too. But yeah, I love what you're doing with this. It reminds me,
yeah,
I read a book years ago. I think it was called "How Full Is My Bucket," but it talked about, because my experience in the corporate world too is like every time I did performance reviews or had my own performance review done, everything was focused on what you sucked at. And for whatever reason, they wanted to focus on taking the things you were bad at and making you better at them.
yeah,
And after I read that book, I thought, no, I want to leverage the things that people are already good at, build a team so that there's complementary skills. And then, you know, obviously you want to mitigate areas where people are not so good, but trying to turn somebody who's not naturally gifted in one area and turn them into being great in that area is you're spinning your wheels basically. So I love what you're pointing to, like take your strengths and just really focus on those. Uh,
yeah,
and
yeah. And as a way of building teams, focusing on people's strengths is just so much more successful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. Well, I love that you were talking about athletes, because I mean that's how successful sports teams are built, right? Like not every
yes,
player on the team is the goal scorer or the defender or the whatever. It's
yeah,
the teams that are the successful is when you put all the pieces of the puzzle together, they
yeah.
form an amazing team because they're working in a complementary fashion.
It's funny. I work with young athletes about their performance. A friend of mine is a sports coach,
Mm,
and periodically says, "Can you come and help this person?"
mm,
Um, and um, I almost never talk to them about their athletic performance.
mm,
Their athletic performance suffers when the rest of their life starts coming apart.
mm,
So, what I do with young athletes, I describe as helping them manage the rest of their life so that they can focus on their athletic performance.
mm.
So, it's almost always about school or parents or relationships. It's never about the sport.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I did all my coach training with Jamie Smart, and he uses the phrase subtractive psychology. Like what's getting in the way? Like the
Yeah,
the problem is the problem is never the thing that people think is the problem. The problem is what's getting in the way. And what you just described is the perfect example of home life, relationships, things outside of sports
yeah,
that's stealing focus away from people. Uh,
yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah, young athletes often decide that they haven't got time to do the training because they're struggling to manage their schoolwork.
Mm,
And actually, if you can put in the time management skills to manage their schoolwork and see the training as a break from the schoolwork, as having an active rest, that can let them stay in sport in a way that they perhaps wouldn't have done.
mm, yeah. Nice. I played sports my whole life, and despite my best effort, well, my daughter played soccer for a number of years. My son played hockey for 2 years, and then he retired at the age of 6. But yeah, I think there's a huge value in especially as young people participating in sports. When I was in the corporate world, um, I could always tell the people on my team who had played sports as a child versus the people who never played any sports, because there's just so many things that's being on a team in a sport teaches you,
Yeah,
that you can't really get. I mean, I shouldn't say anywhere else that it was the same was true for people who did like dance or other things that weren't sports, but those
Mm,
kind of organized activities and things. So
yeah.
yeah, a lot of value in that for people as they're growing up. Cool. Well, I'm curious if there's one or two specific examples you'd like to share with us about how coaching has helped either you or one or two of your clients specifically. That kind of a story that people listening can relate to and go, oh yeah, that's me or that's my kid or whatever.
Um, so I worked with a lady who actually was one of the adult runners that I coached a while ago, and I worked with her, and um, she had lost her motivation for running
Mm,
completely. And we talked about it, and I said, "Well, why do you want to run? You've lost your motivation. Why do you even want to run?" And she was, "Well, I used to really enjoy it, but the idea of doing something just for fun seems frivolous."
mm,
And so we worked through that. And by giving her permission to do it just for fun, by letting her give herself permission to do it just for fun, she went back to running. And she now runs just for the sheer joy of it,
mm.
which I think is a lovely outcome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, I also did some work with another lady who had an interview coming up and was seriously nervous about it. And we did the empty chair exercise, which you'll be familiar with, but your audience may not. So you put there's the two of you in the coaching relationship, but you put a third chair
Mm,
in there. And in that chair, you imagine the person that your client wants to be.
mm,
And they imagine that person, they imagine being that person, they imagine all their attributes. And then the challenge is to move from where you are into the other chair.
mm,
That sounds really simple. But as you move, you embody being the person you want to be. And that can generate a really profound transformation very, very quickly.
mm.
And she sat there and she said, "Karyn, how have you made it so hard to get from one chair to another?" And I held the space for her. And it took her about 20 minutes to get from one chair to the other, but
Yeah.
she made it. And the following week, she rang me and said, "I got the job. I never do a good interview. I got the job."
Mm,
So that was fantastic.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's amazing.
yeah. I am NLP trained as well. I guess the other one was, this was before I was even a coach. I went to a meeting with a lady who had a dental appointment later, and she had an absolute terrible dental phobia
Mm,
and couldn't focus on the meeting whatsoever. So I used the NLP rapid phobia cure with her.
mm.
And she still recommends me to people. We
Wow.
became really good friends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Yeah, I mean, what I get from those stories is, you know, we have the capacity to create our reality, and we often fall into this, default way of creating it that doesn't benefit us. But then we can, as a coach, that that capacity exists, and you can help your client use that very same power that they've been creating uh,
Yeah.
hurdles for themselves to create the very thing that they want. And it's amazing.
I would say everybody I've ever worked with is more capable than they believe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's good to know, isn't it? As a coach, and when you sit across from somebody or on a Zoom call with somebody, and they're sharing their trials and tribulations and the things that are holding them back, that 100% belief that they're capable of more than they know,
Yeah,
is an awesome thing to have in your toolkit.
yeah, yeah. And that just punched me. Karyn, you're capable of more than you know.
Yeah, us too. Yeah,
Hmm.
us too. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely, absolutely. Um, yeah, I love that chair exercise, empty chair exercise, just from the standpoint of, I mean, there's two words I used to when I did all my 20 something years in corporate. Stephen Covey's Seven Habits of Highly Effective People was kind of my personal development, team development Bible. And the if I had to boil all that down to two words, it was imagination and potential.
mm,
And that exercise is a great example of leveraging the power of imagination to uh, imagine what it is that you want to create. Who do you want to
yeah,
be in that interview? Well, and I mean, I guess it's a little bit of NLP kind of stuff, in terms of imagining very minute details and what would it look like, what would it sound like, what would it feel like, and then physically stepping into that is
yeah,
um, it's amazing.
yeah.
I'm curious if you know, and you may not know the answer to this, but basically in that example, you've taught that person an amazing thing that they can leverage in all kinds of areas of their life. I don't know if people often realize, like, if it worked for me there in that job interview, it's the same kind of thing I can use for meeting a partner or handling a conflict at work or, uh, you know, a conflict with the power company over a bill. I don't know whatever it is. Like it's a great tool to have
Yeah,
to be able to use.
absolutely. That's one of the real joys of working with young athletes because their minds are still so flexible
Mm,
and they generalize out and use the tools
yeah,
and you're just building life skills for them, aren't you?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's very, very rewarding when you can see that impact kind of
Yes.
unfolding. Yeah, very cool. Um, I guess if there was one thing you would could boil this all down to that you'd want to leave people with, what would that one thing be?
Um, it's very easy to get stuck inside your own head, believing what you tell yourself,
Mm,
and a coach helps you get out of that and see a bigger picture.
mm, yeah. What's occurring to me too is to ask about the neurodivergence kind of focus that you have in your practice. Is that um, I'd imagine it's very rewarding when you can help those people that have been, you know, stuck or misunderstood in a lot of their life situations. Maybe just talk
Yeah.
a little bit about that.
Yeah, I come at that from personal experience. I was diagnosed with ADHD at age 58.
Mm,
And I'm still not diagnosed with autism, but in my daughter's words, you've got a very strong peer review.
mm. Yeah.
Um, I'm probably dyslexic as well.
Mm,
And I have struggled through all of those things. And the internet wasn't around when I was young.
yeah.
Um, the internet has given me the opportunity to learn how to manage all of those things.
Mm,
But what I do say is I learned it the hard way.
mm,
There are some real nuggets out there, some gold, some diamonds, but you do have to trawl through a lot of dross to find them. So my coaching approach is I have trawled the dross for you.
mm,
I can now help you by just handing you the gold and the diamonds and will not bother with the rest of it
yeah.
because try harder is
Yes.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I was always uh, a proponent of work smarter, not harder, too. So,
Yeah, yeah, completely.
but yeah, what I love the metaphor you used with the. I was just imagining. I used to watch a show here in Canada called The Curse of Oak Island, where these two brothers from America were on this little island in Nova Scotia looking for this hundreds years old treasure. And of course, they're digging these giant holes 150 feet into the ground and bringing up all the dirt, and then they have to go through all the spoils. So they're literally sifting through probably thousands of pounds of dirt looking for those tiny nuggets, and you've already done all that hard work for people. So it's
Yeah, I didn't choose to do it. I wish there had been a way not to.
yeah,
Um, but it helped me. It helped me thrive.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Well, and I love that too. That it's others can benefit from the path that you've already walked. So
yes,
it's great.
yeah.
If people are interested in learning more about you and what you're doing in the program you described, where can they find out more information about that?
My website is very, very difficult to remember. It is
Mm.
tryharderisbs.com.
Mm, nice. I'll put the
Nice,
link in
easy
here.
one to find.
Yeah,
And there's information on there about my coaching and about my short courses as well.
yeah, nice. I'm curious what you must get a reaction from people with that name of your site. What, what's the general consensus on
The general consensus is hell yes.
it?
Yeah. Um, the people who are my potential clients absolutely recognize it and understand it.
Yeah,
The people who don't get it were probably never in my client group anyway.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. They're the ones telling everyone else to try harder.
absolutely. I mean, I had it on every school report.
Yeah,
Could try harder.
yeah.
Um, and those teachers had no idea how hard I was already trying.
Mm,
So that's where the name came from.
yeah,
Try harder is bs.com.
yeah. I suppose in the my sense of it, my kids are in university now, so they're out of the normal school system. But um, I've got to imagine that today's schooling is better than it's ever been in terms of awareness and accommodation. I'm not saying it's good, but it's probably moving in the right direction. So
Yes, absolutely.
yeah, great. Well, I've really enjoyed our conversation and learning more about what you're doing. Great seeing you, Karyn, and wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you.